Welcome to Season 6 of the Long-Winded One podcast. This is Spoiler Sessions, Lit RPG, the only show where spoilers don't spoil anything. We're digging into fan theories, side characters, and the lore authors left in the drawer.
I always have to remember to mute that afterwards because it'll just keep playing. Welcome everybody to, this is episode 20 of season 6. And if you're doing the math, that's a lot of episodes. I generally do 50 episodes per season. I started this in 2018 as a nerd Tolkien project, and I have switched my nerddoms. And speaking of nerddoms, I have two wonderful people with me tonight. I have Jess from the In Other Worlds podcast, and I have Michael Chatfield. He is the author of, am I right to say 40 books or over 40 books?
I'm not good with numbers, even though I write lit RPG, which you know is like kind of a bit of a juxtaposition. I think we're in the 50 to 60 range, I think now. Is someone told me the other day, and I'm like 1, 2, and yeah. And then by the time I get to 10, I'm like, I'm so screwed up. I don't know where I am anymore. And we start to go all over again. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. I'm on 4, so I bow down to you, sir.
It's all like it's just time, and it's like we have this joy of just getting to write stories. It takes time to write a book. I talked to someone earlier today, a fan, and they were like, hey, like, you just finished that book, like, when's that going to get published? I'm like, it takes 4 months for it to just go through the editing process. It took me like a month and a half to write it, which is like crazy fast. So yeah, it's awesome. Hey, Doug.
So we have, speaking of talking with a fan, we have one of your fans here tonight. Doug says, Michael is one of the authors responsible for my lit RPG addiction. So yeah, longtime fan. I might just leave that up there for a little while. So anyway, I have to stop yapping. We have a lot of questions to go through here. This is spoiler sessions, Michael. So we really, you've done a 1,000 podcasts, plus you do your own social media stuff better than anyone I've ever seen. But we're not going to cover the, like, how'd you get into writing things. We're going to drill into the stories tonight with very specific questions. And we're gonna focus, even though you have like a ton of series out there, we're gonna focus on restarting the apocalypse, or RTA, if you hear us refer to RTA, the 10 Realms series, and Emerilia. And I just had to, in doing my preparation for this, I chuckled because I heard you describe Emerilia once as, where was it? If you're into, like, if you want a book about like building a cabin in the woods, drinking beer and having a good time, Emerilia is for you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want that?
Well, that was how the book started, because it was like, hey, you go and play like video games, and you're just like going to escape the world. Like, you're going to build that Minecraft world. That was like kind of the idea of it. And then the side part was, it's like fantasy Matrix. And then the two of those kind of came together, and Dave didn't have much more time to build his cabin out in the woods, and stuff kind of went against it.
Yeah. Well, so this series, this season rather, is really for like hardcore fans, right? So most of the people that are listening are going to seek this out. They're going to be very familiar with your series, but we will, before we like drill into a series, I'm going to ask you to do like a very top level introduction to the series, and then when we hit the questions, if somebody stumbles across this who hasn't read it, that it'll make sense to them, if that's cool with you.
Totally.
Okay. And before we do that, though, I have to do my usual thing. It's a countdown to Lit RPG Con. We are 14 weeks out now.
So soon.
And I know Jess is going. Michael, are you going to be joining us there this year?
I will definitely be there. I know there's a bunch of people going to Jordan Con as well, too.
Yeah, I'm going to be a media guest at Jordan Con this year.
Oh, heck yeah. So I think like those are the two big lit RPG events this year. I know Dragon Con is there, of course, as well, but I feel that Jordan Con and Lit RPG Con, especially Lit RPG Con. Everyone is talking about it. It's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be huge. Yes, we're going to fill up that hotel.
Are you going to be at Jordan Con also?
I will not be at Jordan Con. I am actually going to be on book tour. So I'm going to be, what are we doing? East Coast, West Coast? One of the coasts. We're going down one of the coasts. We're doing, we've got an East Coast tour, a West Coast tour, a Midwest tour, but it's just, we're starting leg one. So that's going to take me away, which is unfortunate because I would love to be there, but I do know there's going to be a great cast of people there. And yes, I hope you have so much fun. I'll be hanging out for the pictures and seeing everyone having a great time.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. Well, we might as well start with that series. Let's go right. We're gonna skip over RTA for a second, if that's okay, and we're gonna go right to 10 Realms. And you have a big announcement about 10 Realms. So before you give us the synopsis about that, would you like to tell us the big? I know people know this already, but tell us anyway.
People do know about it, but it's also like it is surprising. There's so much information coming in all the time. You kind of miss it. So 10 Realms is being published in bookstores across the United States, across Europe, and across the UK, which is awesome. It's part of an effort by Athon to get indies into bookstores, which is just super great. And they've been great to work with to do this. And they gave me a new cover, and the new cover is banging. It is so good. Like there is, it's like I was surprised because the 10 Realms covers were simple and all of that, and now it's like really done up. But with that, on May 12th, the book is actually out in bookstores, so you can go and pre-order it right now. And we're going to be doing a book tour throughout, as I was kind of saying before, East Coast, West Coast, Midwest. We have some dates already. The first leg of our tour, which starts on May 18th in Boston and ends June 12th in Toronto. So we're going actually all the way down to Florida and then jumping back up to Toronto. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have like New York, North Carolina. We're doing a jump out to possibly Dallas and to Nashville as well because the fans really wanted it. So go check out the website. We've got a Michael Chatfield / book tour, or you just go on the website and you see the linky things there.
See, you're really good at the whole social media thing. I told you.
Yeah. When you announced that the books were being released and re-released with a different cover, I went on your website and bought all 10 of the paperbacks.
I understand. I got so this is my shelf of shame. Is how many days or years of work just on this, and we had it where we were like, I didn't think about this. I was not the smart one. This is why I have team members. I was like, hey, we need to pull down the books because we have to get it done. The publisher has it now, and they were like, when does the publisher have it? And I'm like, oh, like next week. And then someone on my team was like, let's go tell the fans before you get absolutely lynch mobbed. And I was like, oh, fair.
Yeah, so I bought all 10, and I'm going to bring them with me to Lit RPG Con and make you sign all of them.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, and we're going to be we've got swag coming out. So we hope to have some book plates, which are going to be, there's going to be a North American version and there's going to be a Europe version. So you can only get them if you're in one of those regions, which is super, super cool. And I like swaggy things, so we're doing that. But also we're going to have bookmarks, the metal bookmarks, which are just for the tour. So as people come around for the tour, you can get those metal bookmarks. There is a limited amount of them. They're numbered. They're really, really nice. And I wish I had them, but my fiance has stolen them from me.
Oh,
so yeah.
So
you're stopping in Lexington then.
Well, I think, am I stopping in Lexington? I'm
Probably
terrible with having my...
We're getting a lot of these questions, Michael, actually. So we have one so far. It's hope to see you in Nashville. Are you coming to New York City?
Yes, I will be in New York City. We're going to be doing Barnes & Noble on 5th Avenue. Definitely come if you want for a sign out for that. And then actually, Neil and I are going to be co-hosting an event at Powerhouse Arena, Dumbo. And that's on Adams Street in Brooklyn. So those are two New York places right now. We have, I can tell you, the start of this is Boston, Providence, New York City, and then I think that we're going to Dallas after that. And then we're going to Washington, D.C., we're going to North Carolina, Raleigh-Durham, and we're going to Charleston, Atlanta, Orlando, and then Toronto.
Oh, man, you should see the chat right now. It's just blowing
Nowhere
up.
near me.
Yeah.
Just circling around.
Well, you get to start with me. I'll be there in Boston. I'll come down and say hi.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. I have a buddy of mine, Chris Philbrook, who's probably going to be conversation partners. So that's the other cool thing. We're going to have conversation partners. When we're down in Orlando, Will White has said that he may be joining me for an event there, and that's going to be hosted by the one and only Joe Dan Worley. So he's going to be the MC for that. So
He's fantastic. Yeah,
I love him.
Yeah. So
right.
we're going to drag him from Atlanta down to Florida and then send him back to Atlanta. We may take him to Nashville. We don't know.
Nice.
I feel like the three of us could just chat about upcoming things for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But now that we're 10 minutes in, I'm going to just leave this comment up for a while. Holy hell yeah. And then we're going to get to the series. So 10 Realms. Here we go. Question number 1 from 10 Realms is, well, first of all, give us just like a little bit of what's it about? Like the main, you could do the whole drink beer and the thing that I mentioned before.
A little different. So 2 veterans like to drink beer and then they get teleported to a fantasy world. And then the one fun thing that I really enjoyed when making this series was mashing together Western magic systems and Eastern cultivation systems. And that was a bunch of fun because when I started it, I thought it was going to be really difficult. And then it just seamlessly kind of blended together and made this incredibly visceral world that Eric and Rugrat step into. And as they progress through the 10 realms, they get 10 different worlds, which I was traveling at the time, which was great because that allowed me to see different cultures, see different things, and bring those bits back and put them into the stories, which was a blast.
And the MC's names in the series, Eric and Rugrat, is that right?
Yeah, Rugrat is his moniker, but that is what he will be immortalized as, for sure.
I love that. Yeah, and well, okay, let's go right to the first question. So you mentioned Kun Lun, the granddaughter, and you said that readers really wanted to know what happened with her. So what can you tell us about that character?
So this was an interesting thing. So there was a character who was a spear user, Fairy Lu, and her grandfather, Kun Lun, was kind of like, they were featured in like books 1, 2, and 3. And then people were like, what did that chick go do? Because there is a point where like when Eric and Rugrat start, she's way stronger than them, right? And then as they progress, they actually start bypassing and they become stronger because they're just using different things. Instead of it being, hey, we become stronger just by ourselves, they're like, let's work with others and become stronger as together. I don't know why that so many people were like, what happened to her? What's going on with that? I guess that what I can say on this is that my team, bless their souls for dealing with my chaos, they really want me to write side stories. And so that is a side story that has kind of risen to the top of like, please tell us about this person more. And I'm like, okay, I've got to go reread the entire series to go pick out where she is because she does show up at different points. And it's just like, oh yeah, like here's another thing of like, she still has got stronger, but they've just like hit this like bell curve of like, oh, like now they've built something and and it's like at the end, she's like joining Alva as like this person that's like come to this understanding. And so, yeah, I got to go and track her down because she's hidden in the text.
Oh man, do you actually go through each book or do you listen to the narrator like, does that impact anything? Because sometimes I'm like, I want to start on my next book, but I got to wait until the audio files are produced because I want to listen to it. Like the narrators definitely influence my writing, I think.
So, okay, I like to write that story, to do it justice, because I've done a lot of other things in between. What I have to do is I'm going to have to listen to it, I think.
Yeah.
But I'll also read it as well. And I'm really interested to listen to it because, like, we had two different narrators and I listened to their content, but it was a spot checking. It's not the same as actually getting immersed in the story and taking it through.
Yep.
And, like, all of this, like we were talking before we started here about Neil and just like the level of quality he brings to stuff, of like taking time to really build not just the voices of the people, but the world around the people and integrating those two things together. So like you were talking about your characters and like, oh, where they've got Gaelic names. So this is how you pronounce Gaelic. And for many narrators, it's probably infuriating. But for Neil, that's like the happiest homework he's probably ever did have.
Well, yes, and shout out to Neil Halligers. He's an amazing narrator.
Yeah, he's and just a damn good dude.
Yeah, a super human being.
Yeah. All right. So, well, let's. I'm going to squeeze in this next question here before we go on to a different story or series rather. Jess, do you want to read this one, or do you want me to take this one? I put it in the chat there if you want to take it, but I'm happy to also take it. I just, I like to go back and forth with you.
Yeah. So you have also mentioned that one guy who needed healing and was willing to offer his skills in return. Who is that guy?
You know what the thing is like, if you guys play D&D.
Oh yeah.
Have you been a dungeon master?
Oh yeah.
Not me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So there's a particular piece of pain for a dungeon master.
Got some characters right here. Yeah.
That is very pretty. I like that. Hey, if you give me shiny objects, man, I'm gonna be off track. I'm was it a mockingbird or something?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Mockingjay? No. Oh no.
Yeah. Whichever one.
Yeah. One's a revolution. One's a flighty little steely bird. So yeah, when you make that character and it's just like, oh yeah, this is a cardboard cutout, and like, because you're like, this is just a character to move on and show other things. So what I had done is there's a part in this story where I was saying like, okay, Eric and Rugrat, they've got stronger. Yes, that's totally fine. But what the biggest part of what they do and the biggest part of Alva is they share their knowledge with other people so that they get better too. So instead of Eric having to like look after and heal someone, they're like, oh yeah, we don't need to use the boss for this. We can just go do it ourselves. And that's what I was trying to iterate with that particular scene. And then people are like, so wait, is Eric going to heal that guy? And I'm like, no, Alva's going to heal him. But apparently I didn't write that good enough because you're all like, yo, that'd be super cool. Cause like, he's like, and it was like he had a really cool skill set, which when matched up with Alva was like going to do more. But you just like, Alva just started to hit that point where it's like, we're stronger. The median strength of people has reached the point where it's like, oh yeah, we can just do that ourselves, which was really cool. Yeah, he was just supposed to be like a dude. And then people were like, what about him? And I'm like, I don't even remember his name. It's in there somewhere.
Oh man, that's great. Well, so you have these books where you have multiple people working together, like you were just talking about, and I think this would be a great time to switch gears, go back to start talking about RTA, right? Restarting the Apocalypse, and you have an announcement for this series as well, and the reason I bring it up is because in this series you have two people who are two MCs who are kind of working together, Len and Rick. But before I say anything else about it, do you want to tell us about your announcement?
So for those of you that don't know, May the 4th be with you, which is also the day that my company actually got made, which is my Chatfield Publications, because I'm a lazy bastard and that's an easy, simple naming thing. Which, if you see my podcast, we haven't even named it because we're just two authors and we hate naming things.
I I sent Andrew a possible name idea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, bro, like, please.
I was
just
like,
give it
this
something.
is the perfect name.
The suggestions we've gotten from other people have been quite interesting. But returning back to the subject, so first of all, so that'll be the 9th year of being a company, which would be super cool. But it is also the day that the RTA 4, which I think is like Restarting the Apocalypse, Old Trials Anew, Book 4 of RTA 4, is coming out, and it's going to be in audio and it's going to be ebook. That is the Amazon and Audible release. If you want to get it earlier, you can go over to Patreon. You can get it 2 weeks before, and you get chapters of book 5. Yeah, book 5 already. And if you don't want to do that and you just want to get the dang book, you can go and grab it on our website and you can buy it there early ahead of time. And the audiobook is discounted because you can buy directly from us. So there's no middleman like taking a whole bunch of cash. So you can get it for cheaper. But you can also just support us directly doing cool things like doing tours and stuff.
You guys are getting a peek behind the curtain right now at what an author has to go through when they're writing multiple books in multiple series, and they're like in this staggered release of like, okay, I've released it here, but not here. And then, also they're producing the audio for this one, but I'm done with the next one. And it's crazy.
Yeah.
A hats off to you guys. That's rough.
Yeah, Gary had his birthday, who's our narrator for Restarting the Apocalypse. And I was like, hey, Gary, I hope you're having a great birthday. We're going to have that audio, right? And he's like, yes, you're going to have the audio. Leave me alone, you bastard. I was like, thank you. Love you. Bye.
Thank you. Well, listen, we have like, I think we have 3 questions and plus people are putting questions in the chat for this series. So give us a quick synopsis, and then I want to get right into the questions.
So Restarting the Apocalypse is about 2 dudes that go through essentially multiple apocalypses, and they go back 150 years before the first one even starts, and mana has just started to spread throughout the world. And so they're going, you know what, let's try and, survive the apocalypse. Let's try and build something that's going to like get through this. And this is their attempt to do it round 2.
Okay, with that in mind, question 1. You said that originally with RTA, the series was going to start with Len and Rick building up a base in Eskon City that would become their refuge through the coming apocalypse. What did the earlier version of the story look like?
So the earlier version of the story was a bit of a prepper story. It was a lot more of a prepper story. So I got into like Len and Rick appear in Eskon City, which is the capital of the nation. And they were like, okay, well, let's go out into the outer districts and we're going to go buy up a warehouse and build, smokehouses and stuff. We're going to make sure that we have enough food to sustain us for all of this. We're going to go and deal with this obelisk, which is going to be able to summon people or make portals to this world, and other groups are going to attack us and try and pillage the world of resources. Instead, that was a cool idea, but then I was like, oh, they have families. That's kind of important. And so I think like I went through like, there's a joke between some authors that I know that it's not restarting the apocalypse. It's restarting the apocalypse, because there's about 5 different versions of this dang series that I wrote, which was not smart on my part. There's like 800. Like I actually just talked about this with Andrew.
So it's like Bob's Burgers.
Yeah, it's like reopening. There's just a lot of iterations, but instead it was like, oh well, Len and Rick come back, and they go, and there's actually a part of this scene changed everything. It's actually kind of similar to 10 Realms in this way, of this scene where Len goes, what about your parents? Or Rick goes, what about your parents? And Len just like stops in the middle of the street because his family died like 110 years ago. And also they're alive right now. And so they have an opportunity to go save them. And then Rick is like, okay, I need to go save my family too from this stuff that's coming up too. So that actually completely changed. Okay, we're not doing it in this city. We're going to have to go do it in another city, which means that we were going to have a lot of like political infighting, them like getting stronger and like subverting the city to their control. Instead, it was like, let's just go over to that city and like your family runs it because you're like a noble, and like sort some stuff out. And I was like, okay. And that's how Garan became the power center for Len and Rick, which actually worked out a lot better. Because like, as you're like reading stories or like writing stories and you're like, something just clicks and you're just like, oh, like new thing unlocked. Like this is great.
Especially when you're jumping in time, right? I can imagine that happens all the time. Well, before we read the next question, I don't want to ignore the people in chat here. So I'm going to pop this up on the screen. Can you explain the trickle down experience for RTA? I have so many questions regarding that. So can you spend a little bit of time on that?
Yeah, this is the most complicated piece of math that I have on the back end. So this is great. So what happens is I hated the thing where you build something, you earn all the experience for it. Instead, if you were to have it and you were to break down parts of building the thing, what's the experience you would get? And so like take a sword, right? Say like when you're actually doing a sword, it's usually not one person by themselves. You have like the guy who's working the bellows, the guy who's taking the metal and putting it in and pulling it out, the other guy who's hitting the crap out of it, right? So what I was doing was like, okay, like, let's build those three guys out as a table of like experience. So that's
so much.
Oh no, it gets worse. This is just stage one. So that's stage one. There's a simple percentage breakdown. It's way easy. So what about if you made crafting factories?
You got the people that design the factories, right? So there's like a progression of this.
But the guy who designs the press. So say you're making a sword again, but you're making it in a factory. And so what you do is someone made the conveyor belt, someone put the weapon onto it, and like then you have all the like the hammers that are hitting onto it. Those kinds of things.
The people who mined the ore.
So what happens is there's progression parts. So there's production, and there's gathering, and then there's production. So if you're doing mining, you're going to get your experience there, right? So if you mine like a epic, rare, whatever kind of grade of stuff, you get a certain amount of experience. But that experience increases the more of that material you get, the harder it was to get it because you put in more effort to do it. But then you take that material, give it to someone, and then they just put it into an industrial-sized smelter. Just think if you like I always go back to Oblivion or Skyrim. You know how many ingots you had to make to like level up your smithing?
I was thinking of World of Warcraft, actually, is where my mind went. But yeah. This is insane, and it reminds me of like so it's like royalties, right? Like people still are getting checks from their earlier TV shows, right? So you're just
$2 check.
yeah.
So that's exactly. Now we have characters who are just like the soldiers are the ones who who build out the factories the most because they're going to be fighting the most. But they also means that they can go train. So it means that they're passively getting this experience gain because they're like, hey, build this munitions factory. Okay. So they build a mold, pour the material into it, the mold closes and then fuses it, and they get like 70% of the experience to do it.
Oh my gosh. Oh, man.
And so that's a trickle down experience. It is freaking madness with numbers, and I'm not good with them. So my Excel sheet is a nightmare. I showed it to a friend and he just walked out the room, and I was like, yeah, that's about what I expected.
That's the way my brain works.
It's too much.
All right, so we have one more question in chat here, and then Jess, do you want to ask the fan question that we have? Okay, so the last question that I saw in chat, here it is. It's from Doug. It's RTA leans into the age of steam. Was there a temptation to make it fully steampunk?
So yes, there definitely was a part to lead it into fully steampunk. The only thing is that steampunk and cyberpunk, I think a thing that happens a lot of times is that those stories are not just technology stories, they're thematic stories because of the punk in it. actually a really good one is, I would say DCC is actually a punk story. The reason is because punk goes against the strictures of societal norms. So, and in a kind of way, actually, Len and Rick are doing this. There is just a lot of like, how can I take Magitech and then take the industrial age and then put them together? And that was a lot of fun. And also, I don't know, like there's something about trains and blimps and like planes and like the emergence of technology that I was like, this is going to be fun. And then everyone else is like, that's the most complicated thing ever. Which reminds me of a statement that Brian said once to a group of authors that I was with. He goes to everyone in the room. He's like, I'm like explaining this really complex system. He's like, Chatfield. He doesn't read other people's books. He's like, Chatfield, people aren't reading your books for the science. And then everyone in the room just went quiet. He's like, no. and then Eric was just like in the corner. He's like, I'm pretty sure they only read it for the science because it makes sense and it scratches your brain in this nice way that like it works. And I was like, he's like, fuck me then.
That sounds like Brian.
He's like sat back. He's like, why are you doing this? You made it so much harder. I'm like, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, Mega Jeet in the chat. Mega Jeet is like coming at us with questions, but we got to get to this other fan question that we brought to the table here. Jess, you want to take this?
Yeah. So, how many books do you foresee being in this series? Like, do you have an end in sight? Do you know where you want it to end and what we have to look forward to?
So, one of the things, because it's a reincarnation story, it's really hard to actually know where it's going to go a lot, because we have the old timeline, which I've scoped out the entire old timeline because that really helps me ground everything that the guys know and like where things are going to go. But I just don't know what the ripple effects are going to be of stuff. I do roll dice actually for something. I was rolling dice with Benjamin Cray, and I rolled for something and it happened. And he's like, he just starts laughing on the other end of the phone call. And I'm like, shit. Like I've got to go do that now. But it like allows a little bit of chaos. That said, I think that, so I just finished, or I'm finishing book 5 right now. There's still quite a bit to go. I think that one of the problems with actually 10 realms was because there was a book per realm, that made it a lot harder, because it made like sometimes there was a lot that happened in a realm and sometimes there was a little that happened in a realm.
Some of them are like this thick and some of them are like this thick.
Yeah, especially because like when you like with a story, it's like the end part, it usually speeds up. So you're like, okay, I want to like hit that at a run. And if I was able to like change the size of the stories, that would have made, I think, more sense. Like I would probably compress some of the books in together. But yeah, no, I think that I don't have an answer to that. I'd probably guess it's going to be in 10 or something, but we already know I'm bad at counting, so sorry.
So if you asked this question and wanted an answer, the answer to the question is we don't know.
Yeah. More
books.
Which usually makes people happy, right?
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so we have surpassed my goal of 30 minutes, which is, I knew ahead of time. I told these guys we're not doing 30 minutes tonight, and I'm used to, believe it or not, I'm used to much longer podcast episodes. I'm really trying to get it in, but I am going to switch us over to Emerilia, and we have 2 questions there. If folks in the chat, oh my gosh, we got more questions in the chat.
There's a lot of questions.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch this over. If you have questions about this series, let's put them in the chat. Could you please give us like a 10,000 foot view over this series?
So Emerilia is a guy that just wants to go drink beer and build a cabin, and he finds out that he's in the Matrix.
Heck yeah.
All right. Everybody's this is everybody's fantasy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It gives him a lot more work than he was anticipating when he started.
All right. Question 1 says, you said, let's talk MCs here for this series. So Emerilia, you have Dave or David, right? Is the MC. Anybody else you want to mention going into these questions?
So yeah, we've got Dave Grasslag, who's our main character, and then his alternate personality is Austin Zane, which is like his like on Earth version. But then Dave Grasslag is like who we know mostly through the story.
Okay. All right. So you said that with Dave and Emerilia, the intention was always for him to build his home and chill there. What did the original vision of Dave in the series look like?
Honestly, it was a cozy slice of life. Yeah, it was just he was gonna go build something in the forest. He was gonna enjoy it. He was gonna like build the area up and all of this.
I mean, that's the dream, really.
Yeah, and it was gonna be like this sweet, like cool thing. Like you can see it actually in parts of where he's talking about Cliff Hill, which is where he lives. It's a very originally named place, but he's like, oh, like it's kind of idyllic. It's like really fun, and then this town and city like builds out of it. But yeah, it was supposed to be just a cozy slice of life. And then I was like, Matrix, and I was like, why did we do this? And it somehow worked. So.
Oh my gosh. Were you watching The Matrix at the time? I'm just
No, it wasn't like we were at that period of time when VR stories were going in and out of VR, and I was like, I don't like that. I want to just stay in the fantasy world. So what if I just flip it? What if I make it so that he stays in the fantasy world because the fantasy world is the real world, and then Earth is a simulation? And so then it's just aliens watching them for entertainment. And they're like, yeah, like this is awesome. And then stuff ensued.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So let me read some of the. So I just want to honor the stuff people are putting in chat. Michael, I'm going to read them to you. I'm going to put them up on screen and read them to you. We're not going to cover them right now. We have one last question that we're going to get to. Jess, if you want to ask it, that's cool. I put it in our private chat. But maybe look at that while I'm reading these. And if you want to, Michael, if you want to take these questions back to do them on your podcast, you can here's question 1. Who gets more experience from killing monsters? The monsters guy who made the bullets or the guy who killed the monster? Okay, so that's one. You don't have to answer that now. You can, but you don't have to.
Very quickly. So it's actually 2 different things. So like say how mining was one thing and then making the item is another thing. Going and killing something is another thing. So it's using the skill is different. So the guy who goes and shoots the creature, he's going to get full experience. The guy who makes the ammunition in the round, it's like when it reaches completion, all of the people who are part of that completion get part of it.
Get the royalties.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
That checks out.
All right. Next question in chat was, could you go a bit more in detail? And again, you don't have to do this now, but if you want to cover this at some point on another podcast, could you go a bit more into detail on how mana is a corrupting influence to mortals? As the amount of mana increases in the natural environment, would natural tempering start to occur?
This is pretty central to the story. So there's 2 stats in the story because I want to make it simple. There's mana and there's body. The higher your body stat, the more you can the stronger you are, but also the more mana you can withstand because mana is a corrupting influence. Mana is using spells and all that kind of stuff. But what happens is when you have too much mana in your body, it starts to basically like think about Fallout Ghoul, right? You start becoming corrupted. So you go through stages of like mana poisoning where it's like you have veins of like your channels are starting to get corrupted. Then you have it where like, so you have mana poisoning, you have mana mutation. So your body starts mutating because of the mana. And then you can even go past that. So you basically can become a beast, which is like a senseless beast. And then you can go to a corrupted, which is essentially a demon because they're sentient, but all they care about is consuming more mana and becoming more powerful because the mana has just like, they're just so hungry for it, but their body is so corrupted by it that if they don't have mana, they fall apart. But it also means that they can cast really powerful spells because they consume part of their body to do so.
Oof.
So if you have someone in too high of a mana area, it's like radiation. They start falling apart really quick. They get poisoning and all that kind of stuff. So you want to keep your body stat higher than your mana stat. If it becomes level, then you get mana poisoning. If you absorb too much, like your mana stat may be lower than your body stat, but you're absorbing a ton of it, your body just can't handle that much mana at that period of time, and it starts to fall apart. But if you have a really good control over your mana, which is like, it's like a mental focus, and you basically block off your gates, then you can stop the mana coming into your body a lot. But it's like you're constantly, it's like as if you were walking constantly underwater, and there's that constant pressure on you at all times. And it's just like, oh yeah, like if I open my mouth, then I'm just gonna get water in, right?
Hmm.
I love all of this. This is awesome. Thank you, and thank you for covering them here. I'm going to cut people off from the chat. No, not really.
No, you're right. Like I
No
always love
questions.
answering questions, and it's fun when you get good questions because it's like, oh yeah, like I totally understand where you're coming from, and I can see where it's like, what's this all about? Because it's hard in a story to like give enough information so it's like you understand it, but not give so much that it's like, oh man, okay, like I didn't need 3 pages on how a steam actuator works. It's really interesting, guys.
I don't.
That part.
There's something for everybody, man. I don't know.
This is fair.
So we got people in chat asking good questions, and then I think Doug here might be trolling you a little bit here. I finished writing the book like 8 years ago. How can you expect me to remember anything about what I was writing when I wrote it?
Oh, like here's the thing though, is that you remember, hey puppy dog, the fourth member of the podcast has showed up. So it is interesting because there is a lot of stuff that I remember about the story, and like people, like authors will get this, is like it is a big part of your life, and also like seeing those characters again. Like I had to go read a section of 10 Realms, Emerilia, and RTA, and it was just me like reading it out. I'm not a narrator, so your mileage might vary on this, but it's over on our Facebook group that you can check out of like me doing it. But it was really weird going back into it and reading that because I was like, I've missed writing in these worlds. I've missed doing this thing because you have to be so excited and so drawn to that idea to spend like literally like Emerilia was like a year and a half. 10 Realms was like 3 years, 4 years of writing. That's just like,
oh my god,
this is going to be so much fun. But yeah,
well, it's nice to know that you're human and it actually takes you like, you know, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like insurmountable when I think of like 50 books, you know.
It's just chipping away at it. And like, I think I like every year I just get more excited about this to the point where my fiance was just like, you need to write at least like 3 days a week, or need to be doing something writing 3 days a week, or like, I don't know who you are. Just like, okay, I'm okay with this trade. I'm not sure about this trade, but I'm okay with it.
Oh. That's funny.
All right. We have one more question. And this is for Emerilia. Okay. You want to take us home, Jess?
Yeah. So you have said that you felt like going too far into those large fleet battles would have pushed the story too far from the fantasy aspect and away from like the party-based fighting that your readers had become so invested in. How did you decide that, and how did you make that call?
So like Emerilia is really focused around Party Zero and everything that they have going on there. I felt that if we got into just massive fleet battles, I have done them before and I really do like spaceships. It's a big joy of mine. But I felt that it would get away from the characters as the core. And so as the battle, it's why the fighting for them was quick. Well, there's 2 parts of that. They needed to really quickly get strong and get space into space and dealing with the other races that had oppressed them. But it was also, okay, I don't want to lose the characters in the minutiae of logistics, because it's very easy to go, well, this ship moved here and then it defeated these things, and then this thing moved over here and then it did these things. So that was just a hard call. Like, I could have actually done, okay, let's go through all the space battles, and we do it like each character has a different POV of how they see the space battle, and then we see like, this is what the dwarves are doing on the ship, this is what, the beastkin are doing on the ship, this is what, like every single person and every person member in the party is doing. And I was like, yeah, we can do that, that would be interesting, but it would like slow down the story in the stage that it was to get to the end. And I wanted to give people that, wow, that was a rip-roaring thing, and then get to the end. And then we had like this sweet period where it was Party Zero settling in at home, because they've gone and done the conquesting stuff. And then they're like, what do you want to do? And he's like, cabin. And we go full circle, and he's just like, yeah, I just want to take a break from the world. Like, let's leave it up to other people to go do this stuff. Like, it's a thing of, I'm not going to turn away from responsibility when I see it, but at the same time, this is not always or needs to be on my shoulders. And I didn't want it to be that Party Zero was running everything. I wanted it to show that this was humanity, and all of Emerilia was like actually stepping up to the plate, which was super cool. Because
this was autobiographical, right?
No.
No.
It's just a cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
It's very metropolitan woods.
Well, you mentioned space battles. I got to say, my dog came to say hello, and I just want to tell you what my dog's name is. It's Severo. If you're familiar with Red Rising series,
that's pretty badass.
Spaceships, man. Yeah,
I have it right over there, right next to what's called the Expanse series.
I brought it up because I think I've seen you talk about it before. That series, yeah.
I guilty of. I have book 4, but I'm just so hesitant. I'm
book 4.
Okay.
Book 4 of the second trilogy, whatever. It's not really a trilogy. Okay.
Yeah. That thing, the edition. I'm like, I want to read it, and I know I'm going to have 1 or 2 reactions. One is, why the hell didn't I read this sooner? Or 2 is, I liked where I ended that story. And I think that it's hard when you pick a story back up, because you have a different memory of it compared to when you're reading it in like the moment.
It's good.
If you have a memory at all, because as soon as I'm done reading a book, it's just gone.
See,
it's like the spell. It's like the tests. Like whenever you get a test, it's like 2 days later. What is that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, I just started it over. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Red Rising. Anyway, so we've gone. Michael, you are my longest podcast episode in season 6, and rightfully so. And I'm going to come visit you May 18th when you're in Boston. I just want to say thank you. Do either of you have anything else you want to bring up? Maybe like anything else you have coming out soon that you're excited about that we haven't talked about already?
Jess, you want to go first?
No, I mean, it's just the convention's coming up. I'm excited for.
Yeah, that's going to be a heck. Are you doing interviews and stuff while you're there? Or are you going to be shooting? What you doing?
I will be. So you have to be approved as a media guest in order to record panels. So I will be trying to record some panels. I have to get the go ahead. I have to get the approval beforehand. So I had to email them the list of panels that I wanted to record. So I'm waiting to hear back from that. And then they are going to open up a interview schedule that we have to apply for spots on. So I may or may not be interviewing Brandon Sanderson. I don't know yet. Which would be pretty cool. So that's going to be fun. And then I'll be at Lit RPG Con as a panelist as well.
Yeah, it's going to be, our panel's going to be sick. It's going to be fun. It's going to be rocking. We're going to have lots of cool things to give away. Anyway, Michael, what you got going on here other than what we talked about already?
I hope that's it. If there's anyone out there in the German audience, Emerilia is getting upgraded on the translations. A Trap Mine project has already been upgraded, and the audio version is coming out in German as well. That is going to be done by the narrator. So the narrator of the 10 Realms German is going to be doing Emerilia as well, which is going to be quite nice. And then we are going to be doing all of the Emerilia series. We're finishing off the 10 Realms series in translations as well. And so that's really cool. And yeah, I think we've got RTA release. We've got book tour coming up. And yeah, if you want to check out book tour, just again, go check out the website or check out our Facebook group. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff. And we've partnered with some really awesome bookstores. We've got Barnes & Noble. We've got local bookstores. And it's just super cool to see what we can do with this. Because if we can show to bookstores, hey, we can get a crowd coming out to this, that's really, really powerful. They're really kind of going on a limb for us. So the more people that, like, even if you just want to come by, chat, and all that kind of stuff, you don't have to grab a book. You can just come and hang out. We've got some swag to give away. We'd really appreciate it because it's like, it's just like, I've been doing this for 10, 11 years, and to be able to get into bookstores is so cool.
It's so cool, man. Yeah. And to quote that first Mortal Kombat movie from 1996, it has begun. Yes, the floodgates are going to open. I have a feeling.
I hope so. Like I was seeing J.M. Clark, a good friend of mine. He posted Mark of the Fool was on the bookshelf, and he was like, dude, this is so surreal. And I saw that and I was like, congratulations, dude. And I had goosebumps on the back of my head because it was like, that's so freaking awesome. Like,
that's going to be you soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be nerve-wracking. So yeah, this is why we drink.
Yes. Instead of well, what's the slogan for Hot Ones? Or the parent companies, like something about feasting? This is why we drink, not feast. This is why we drink.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Jared? What do you have coming up?
Oh, well, next week I'm doing so this season is all about authors. So last season was a lot of authors and a lot of narrators. Tried to get people out of, people on Royal Road who maybe hadn't published anything, hadn't done an audiobook, and I paired them with narrators, and that was a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of cool people, and it's where I met Eric and Neil, and that kind of changed everything for me. So that was awesome. But next week we're switching gears a little bit. I'm doing a Facebook moderators panel. So we're grabbing moderators from several different Facebook groups, and we're going to come on and we're going to talk lit RPG. It should be a lot of fun.
They see so much, and I like their recommendation lists are some of the biggest I've seen out there, which is just awesome.
Yeah. So this is going to be a different one for me, but I'm going to learn from them. And, some people, like, I've talked to the moderators, they're like, I've never done this before. And I'm like, it's cool, man. Like you guys are all cool people. Every single person that I've interviewed has just been a cool person, and like people that I would want to grab a beer with. So it's going to be fun. Yeah. Tune in.
We're very lucky in this genre to have so many people that are just like, they just want to write books, read books, and share in that kind of joy, which is just badass.
Yeah. And we all just want to support each other.
Yeah.
And Michael, I got to say, like, it's people like you who have really succeeded, right? So they're not just authors, right? They're authors who have been really successful, who have maintained that connections with their fans, and it's a really special thing about our genre.
Yeah.
And I hope we can keep that.
Oh yeah, like I think, like, as much as I harp on Matt for different things, is like you can see that with what Matt's doing, of like he doesn't have to go touring across everywhere and beyond, but he does it for the fans and because the man has psychosis, because he loves giving that to people. Like he did the con circuit as an artist. He's done touring as a musician. Like he's this guy who just, I think he gets energy by giving other people energy. And I think like as storytellers, we do that in a big way. And I think as readers, we get that in a big way of like there's a tenet that I hold to is if someone can read my story and they get a couple of minutes in a day to themselves to just like take a break and like be removed, then that story was worth writing, because those people, like, you sometimes you just need it where you're like, hey, I just need 5 minutes of like, you read a story, you're like, that's amazing, and you go, okay, now I can handle the rest of this. And those things are really powerful, I think.
I mean, I just want to say, like, we listen to these books at all different parts in our life. You know, when we're in a good mood, when a parent has died, when you know, whatever, like really, really crucial parts of our lives, and we need to escape, and we need that familiar voice. And what you guys do for us, it's so incredible. Jess,
Hey.
you agree?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna just stop it there. I don't think we could get any better. But I am one thing that you said tonight that I'm gonna take away is you mentioned rolling dice to introduce a little bit of chaos in your writing, and I'm gonna take that with me. And I think that's my big takeaway tonight. I love it.
I knew someone who wrote a card-based lit RPG, and they had actually made the deck of cards the character used. And so during the battles, they would actually like draw the cards like they were the character, and they'd be like, whatever I draw, that's what the character gets, and we're just gonna have to work with it. And I was like, that is intense.
Yeah, it's pretty meta. Like so last spoiler I'll give for people is there is a point in, I think it's book 1 or book 2 of the 10 Realm series, where I was doing death saving throws for Rugrat. And if anyone remembers the time that Eric health bombed the crap out of Rugrat, that was literally, if he didn't do that, I was sweating. I was standing and rolling dice and then writing at the same time. It was not a standing desk.
That's crazy.
I was like, I just don't know what's going to happen, because it does add in a layer of chaos, and it adds in, I think, a fun factor for the author, because you don't know what's going to happen. The Siege of Vuzgal was another one where I was rolling for it, because in a fight, there's just chaos. You don't know if it's going to hit every time.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, it makes you as a writer have to go, all right, this happens. And you go, oh, I really don't like that. And then you have to change the story, but it makes it better, I think, because it makes you go down avenues you wouldn't travel before.
And with that, everybody, I just want to encourage everybody to introduce a little bit of chaos in their lives. Thanks for coming tonight. We'll see you next time.